Mark was a college student living in Indiana. His house sat quietly at the edge of a wooded patch, calm, peaceful during the day. But at night, the woods felt different. They breathed. Under the back patio was a hot tub, and that's where everything happened. It was March 29th. Spring break was ending. Classes were starting again soon. Mark had 3 of his closest friends over, Kyle, Keenan, and Derek, for one last night of drinking, laughing, and forgetting. They were in the garage playing pool. Music loud, cans clinking, jokes flying. It felt like the kind of night you don't remember, but also never forget. Kyle was the first to suggest the hot tub. It was freezing outside, which made the idea better. Warm water, cold air, a last hurrah. They got changed, grabbed their drinks, and stepped into the steam. The water was perfect. They talked, laughed, messed around, until a sound interrupted them, the sound of twigs breaking. It wasn't random, it had rhythm. Footsteps, coming from the woods. Everything stopped. The guys glanced at each other. Keenan shrugged. Probably a deer or something. Nobody fully bought it, but the joke was enough to turn up the music and act unbothered. 10 minutes passed. Then they saw him. A man stepped out from the trees and into the light. Tall, pale, dressed in a black coat, white sweatpants, and wearing a gaming headset. His face was blank, eyes wide, mouth tight. They shouted at him, "Who are you? What are you doing?" The man raised his hand slowly. "Name's Seth. I'm 33. I heard you guys laughing and wanted to join." He didn't blink. Mark told him to leave. Seth didn't move. Then slowly, he took off his coat, then his shoes, then his pants. Now in just his underwear, he climbed into the hot tub. Nobody said a word. Mark reached for his phone, not to post anything but to record in case it escalated. It felt like a scene from a bad dream. They asked questions. "Where did you come from? Do you know anyone here?" He just kept smiling. "Heard you laughing. Wanted to be part of it." Then he said it. "I've molested a child before." Everything froze. No one laughed now. They jumped out of the hot tub, yelling for him to leave. Derek and Keenan pulled him out of the water. Seth didn't resist. He just stood there, dripping wet and still smiling. Then he walked calmly back into the woods. They locked all the doors. Some tried to laugh it off, others paced, but Mark and Kyle weren't okay. Something about Seth felt unfinished. 15 minutes passed. Then Kyle said, "We should go lock the hot tub." Mark hesitated, then grabbed a flashlight. Outside was silent. Then Mark saw it, a phone, sitting on the ground next to the tub. He picked it up. The screen lit up with a lock screen image. Mark dropped it instantly. He didn't say what it showed, but his face said enough. "Need to go back inside." They barely made it inside when it started. Tap, tap, tap. On the window, Mark already knew. He pulled the curtain. Seth stood there, eyes wide, pale face, the same frozen smile, not blinking, not moving, just watching. Kyle called the cops. Mark grabbed a bat. He shouted through the door, telling Seth to leave. "Take your phone and get out!" Seth didn't respond. He walked around the side of the house. Mark followed carefully, peeking through the patio glass. Seth was standing there again, closer. Mark said, "Cops are on their way." Seth didn't move. He just waved. One slow, deliberate wave, then turned and vanished back into the trees. Police arrived 10 minutes later. They found Seth standing at the edge of the forest, just watching the house. He was arrested for trespassing, but for Mark, it wasn't over. Mark's bedroom. Days later, scrolling through Snapchat, Mark paused. Neighbor posted something, a video. It showed a man, not Seth, trying to break into her house late at night. That's what stuck with Mark. If that wasn't Seth, who was it? How many were there? Were they connected? Were they done?
Sometimes things happen you can't explain. Sometimes you aren't meant to understand. But if something tells you to leave, listen, because not everyone gets a second chance. Take care of yourself, especially in dark forests. Goodbye.